I, like many, have been really hard on them over the years. I can't remember a more heartening day for the North Melbourne Footy Club in a long time, if they're seeing that young midfield almost pull off an upset win. And they are playing with freedom and hope. And it was a hopeful day, one that you'd hoped them to see for a long time. It does bring the question on the coaching environment and how that sits. Let's have a listen, first of all, on the weekend to Nathan Buckley's views on Alastair Clarkson when he stepped down, of course, and Davies Uniacke we'll hear from as well.
My gut is that there was a heaviness in the environment at stages through the first half of the year that is no longer there. No one would suggest that he hasn't got the ability to get the job done with any group of players at any time. Fresh voice, a very offensive coach, a positive coach, changes the way about it, but it's more about the negative energy that is removed from North.
Yeah, we're just really happy, and he's brought a real happiness and sort of feel of that around the club that we probably were missing a little bit when Clarko left.
Now, you have to admit that was circumstantial, the Clarkson situation, and there was a heavy cloud that was lifted, and it's easy to fall into a caretaker coach mentality, and I don't think anyone expects Brett Ratten is ever going to be the coach of the Kangaroos. But is there any part of them, Kane, that would be second-guessing the appointment of Alastair?
I think they would be, Hutchie, and what they've seen with Brett Ratten, with what he's been able to do to release the shackles to what they speak of. I think the question around Alastair Clarkson is, does his demeanour get the best out of the young players? Is his game style in line with what the best teams are doing? They were very zone orientated. We saw Hawthorn pick them apart in round 3. And why was the effort so poor? So I thought his benchmark would have been getting genuine effort from this group. We saw them give up countless times. So I think privately they'd be questioning it. Publicly, Sam, I think they'll be clearly backing in Alastair Clarkson with his credentials to come back. But it's been awakening for them, hasn't it?
Sorry, can I clarify here? Are you two suggesting that Alastair potentially may not come back? And is it because of the cloud of the racism investigation?
Well, I don't know if he's going to come back. I've got no idea. But I think the club would be questioning, is he the right coach for this group on the back of what they've seen in the last 3 weeks?
But because of the Hawthorn investigation, or because of if you think he doesn't have what he had at Hawthorn?
It's encapsulated in all of that. But is his
because it's a big call, isn't it? He's got 4.5 years left on his deal.
Massive call. So that's why I think just privately, Lordo, they may be having second thoughts about whether this guy's the right coach for the group that they've got now.
And the heaviness that Nathan Buckley speaks of, how that filtered down to the players. So I'd be asking those players, how much of it was what the pressure Clarkson was under with the Hawthorn racism, or how much is it Alastair Clarkson? You look at the numbers of since Ratten's taken over, and this is a different football side. I haven't been this excited about North Melbourne in my time watching them in years. Like, there's been nothing to get excited about. But the last 3 weeks, some of the points for 17th to 9th. There's for example, contested possession, they got harder. Goals per inside 50, they're scoring from 17th to 4th. This has been a drastic improvement since the shackles have gone off and Ratten's taken.
No doubt about that. And it's been a lot of responsibility on the young players as well. I just want to show one centre bounce yesterday, 12 minutes to go in the last quarter. Game on the line. Who's in there? Phillips, Sheasel, Wardlaw. Sheasel stands up. Phillips stands up.
He's a better player than you gave him credit for, Phillips.
Well, the jury's out still on that. But let's just highlight this, because look at the score. Look at the time, and those three get it done in a big moment. So the responsibility that Brett Ratten has given them, I couldn't take my eyes off Wardlaw yesterday.
Yeah.
He's awesome. There's a bit of Matt Rowell about him, and then Zurhaar kicks the goal.
Why do you think Alastair wasn't doing that?
That's not the issue with Clarkson. That's just the way that they're playing with freedom, trusting each other in big moments.
But are you suggesting that
we weren't seeing that effort?
But you suggesting Clarkson wouldn't have put those three guys in the middle?
I don't know. I think they would be questioning. That's a separate issue to the excitement that I saw from North Melbourne. But I think just privately, I mean, you would honestly naturally have those thoughts. Is this the right coach to carry this group forward for the next 4 years on $1 million?
They look paralysed at times out on the ground, in terms of players just standing in positions and being walked through like cones, witches' hats, and being scored against. That hasn't been the case in the last 3 weeks. So in terms of the weekend, they still don't know how to win. So that's what Brett Ratten's next challenge is, to teach this team how to win. They should have beaten the Swans 2 weeks ago. How they lost that one is beyond me. And then again, 86 apiece. Zeeble does that out in the full, then Zeeble again. This one, they're actually in front. That goes back down the other end and Draper kicks the goal. So that's the aspect of it. Their effort was so good, but they forgot how to win. And I just want to show, Mackay had a fantastic game, but this is brilliant from Stringer. But Mackay, the senior players let them down. What about this effort here? So the ball's under dispute. He just has to drive through, and I'm not saying take the player out, but go harder to run that ball out of bounds. He doesn't, and D'Ambrosio kicks that goal. So that's the issue with young teams. They need to reward
That wasn't the young
effort.
players either, was it?
That wasn't.
That was experienced players.
That's right.
And Taron Thomas came back into the team and had a real impact, didn't he? And Cornesy, I know you've been quite strong questioning when, if ever, was the right time to bring someone like him back. Nathan Burke was strong on it over the weekend.
Wouldn't be playing if I was coaching. Well, he's got a court case on July 18. I'd say, mate, that's a date. You suck it up until then.
An argument. He played very well yesterday, must be said. Looked a different team within it. He's interesting to me. So, like, the character is a big question mark, and the accusations are indefensible and will play out. All of those things aside, he is a definite recruiting target for other teams if someone's prepared to reform or run the risk on that.
Surely those two things don't live in the same sentence.
Well,
you can't put all those things
they're also
to side.
Part of the reason why he's available. So, like, does a talent like that become available to another team unless he has had a checkered run and there's someone that feels that they can reform him? And I think you've got to, if you're a list manager of another team, you actually have to run that exercise.
I think it depends.
You've got to go and understand it. You've got to go and... Because he could be anything as a player.
Depends on the environment that he's going to. You would really trust Geelong to take him in like they did with Tyson Stengel, who is the story that Taron should be basing himself on. But way too early to bring him back. Yes, he was good yesterday, kicked the goal, nice moment, but let's just see him put a body of work for 10 weeks where he's actually a good citizen before we start lauding his performance yesterday.
And if you're home thinking we're short-selling Essendon, that's fair. Brad Scott isn't, though. He pointed out very rightfully after the game they're young too.
You know, we had 17 players who haven't played 100 games out there tonight. You know, we're significantly younger than North Melbourne out there tonight. You know, so we're a pretty young and inexperienced team ourselves.
They are a young and experienced team, and I had a Bombers supporter come up to me yesterday and said, this is the first time in 10 years I go to the football knowing what I'm going to get from the Bombers. So full credit to Brad Scott, Zach Merritt. You know, I've been as hard as anybody, but I now trust what they are going to deliver. And they've had a tough run. They've beaten Melbourne. They've 1 point to Collingwood. Geelong was probably the only bad performance. So it's been an impressive start, 7-5.
Yeah, outside that, though, they've got a soft run home.
Yeah.
And for me, it's evidence that the 6-6-6 needs reviewing as a fixture. So at the moment, you play the bottom 5 twice the year after. I don't think it's sustainable when we're seeing teams bottom.
How do you fix it?
Well, you're going to get 2 hits at West Coast. You're going to get 2... Like next year, if you presume or think that Giants and Richmond haven't bottomed out, I just don't like this. But 2 games...
But Hutchie, aren't West Coast really the only outlier? Like, everyone else above West Coast has shown pretty good signs of competitiveness.
Yeah, but Hawthorn and North are going to lose the bulk of their games. They're going to show improvement as young teams, but their form is going to be fickle. And you do get to... Like, it's a big free hit.
Have you got a solution? You're creative in these things.
Well, why do we have to wake the draw anymore?
So how'd you do it?
Well,
It's random.
You've got things that are fixed, which you need to do, your blockbusters and your 2 derbies and all those things, and then the rest should be as random as it can be.
It's the best example for your wildcard system that we've had, because Essendon will make finals in my belief, but they may not deserve to play finals, and someone like an Adelaide might miss out. So it'd be a terrific wildcard weekend.
7v10 and 8v9.
The Bombers were a bottom 6 club too, and they've actually improved. So the AFL can't predict that West Coast is going to be this bad again.
But they've improved in part on the back of who they're playing. And next year, if Carlton finish bottom 6...
They've had a tough draw, Hutchie. The first half has been a really tough draw.
But they play 9 of 22 games against bottom...
But
against bottom 3 teams.
Yeah.
Bottom 3 teams. And then next year, if Carlton finish bottom 6 and reload and get a full pre-season and get their talent going, it gets distorted again.